Hey all. So, last war of the off season before we head back into the real thing, and so this is the last chance to try unstoppable armor matchups before they really matter, which is why we have Venompool here, because he is basically a perfect counter to Warlock, so we're going to test that with the new tactic. We have Claire for several significant UA fights later on, and then also Negs because I need practice with him. So, starting off here, Warlock is just going to be hitting harder. We're not going to be able to heal. Um, I think, yeah, I was having some issues with my screen in this. You'll actually see me cut after this to go wipe down my screen. But anyway, besides getting hit, this is going great. He's trying to power drain us because we're trying to heal while heal blocked. But that actually just triggered yet another thing that we're immune to, and that is why we are ramped so quickly. Like, we picked up 50 from the armor ups we stole from him, we picked up 50 from the armor breaks we were immune to I think at least a couple of the power drains were immune to. Like, we're not that far into here, and we have gained 8 full buffs. Sorry, 9 full buffs. Venompool is a ramp up champion, but man, when you're using him in fights that really benefit him, it's just so much cleaner. Sorry for the loop de loop there. I think that's, like I said, I put it down, turned it off, and got up to clean off the screen, figuring that that's why I got hit there and came back in. So now we have negative. We have several fairly proficient negative players in my battle group, and so I just never use him because I feel like I never need to. And that right there is where I realized it actually wasn't my screen. It was that I don't know, my hands were slippery or something. Really stupid and annoying. So I'm going to be very careful heading into the season for that. But basically, the idea here is I assume that we're going to be able to turn off most of the things that make Mojo difficult here, as long as we make sure to keep an eye on where he is on his prompts. We don't even need to stop all of his prompts. We just need to make sure that if he goes to 5 prompts and starts placing those haters on us, that we dash back twice to really get rid of them. I think there I actually tried to go for the parry, forgetting about insult to injury, so that was just my lack of comfort with this node. But like I said, negative is just such a hard counter to Mojo that there really wasn't a whole lot of danger there. I didn't play it particularly well, and I had the issue with the inputs at the very beginning, which I could have prevented and will be very careful to in season. But I'm glad I got that rep in with him. This is the real fight, though, because this, I mean, just has so many more complicating factors. Negative naturally has relatively low block proficiency. Bubble Shield makes that worse. The fact that this is Maw, and he doesn't always give us that clean opening for a heavy, and I should have heavied there. I have no idea why I didn't. Also makes the block proficiency worse. The fact that I was still, for some reason, having trouble dexing out of his special one a couple times and picking up extra block proficiency charges also made this worse. Or bubble shield charges, I should say. Yeah, there's just a lot to go to keep track of here in addition to just playing Maw. And textbook right there, I really messed up and did the one thing that you really should not do with negative, because he's nullify immune, so you don't have to worry about the special one. But you do have to worry about the falter if you're not making a point to knock him down. And I have not been good about that. I also, despite normally being very good at Bubble Shield, messed up my counting there and tried to block the 11th hit, which is unblockable, so that was not smart. But I think this is where I finally get my stuff back together. I'm somewhat doing okay with the energy. I wait out this falter, don't make a repeat of that mistake. Hey, even pick up some willpower healing. Bait out this special, go ahead, get the conversion, pick up some more dark energy. I think my plan there was to just wait out the next falter, but he gave me an opportunity for a heavy, so I figured I might as well knock him down, remove the protection, throw the big special 2 with more than 10 energy. Good. Like, I should have done that a full minute earlier. So after that fight, thanked Taint, who is the primary Negs player in my BG, and just thanked him for letting me have the practice because clearly I needed it. So heading into this Penny Parker fight, this is the new node 26 with defective defense where you really do not want to block much. I have no idea why we are constantly taking 1 damage here when we're just flat out heal blocked. I'm guessing that's some interaction between the passive heal block and Penny, but I don't remember seeing that before. Rather unpleasant. Anyway, the idea here is to block as few hits as possible. We're going to try and take her shield down, but honestly, we don't even care about that. It is good for us to hit in and be auto-blocked, because remember, that tries to power burn us, which is something that Venompool is immune to, which means that we ramp faster. Getting auto-blocked is actually good for Venompool. That's something that you really have to lean into, and it's somewhat counterintuitive because even if other champions don't get punished for it, you often don't go for it intentionally. So dropping her shield a bit here, I do eventually want to take her shield down and or get her to 0 charges, because before I throw my big special 3, I do want to throw a heavy. Because throwing the heavy is going to make the bleed that we get off the special 3 60% stronger on top of the attack increases we have here, and that's going to be how we win this fight. So get that down, and right there, I remember thinking, I was like, cool, I waited out the disorient is not there, I can go for a heavy, and I completely forgot about the window of opportunity node. What I should have done is just wait a little longer for that node to also go on cooldown, or I should have waited for her to throw a special one or a heavy and countered that. Any of those would have been fine. There are a ton of ways to come out of this fight losing almost no health at all, and I chose that one. Either way, we have gotten the bleed paused. It was going to finish it out. We land one more hit. The auto block didn't trigger. Even if it had, wouldn't have mattered. The bleed was going to finish her. That's really how that fight goes. You take it nice and slow, you build up to the special 3, make sure you have a vicious buff before you throw it, and you're good to go. So I do think that's a good counter. I'm glad I got to test it, and now I know to watch for the big dumb mistake that I made. So heading into Mole Man, this is one that I was really curious to try, because Claire is very good for unstoppable armor in general, because she prevents the armor up procs. Except she does so with buff immunity, which is itself a debuff, which means that Mole Man is going to shrug it, like every single time. We could have played the game where we intentionally parried him a bunch, where I threw heavies to respond to every single one of his specials, intentionally sent him into frenzy, and then I could have gotten buff immunity up. I'm not even sure that that's a bad idea. I just wanted to see how this fight worked without doing that. So notice right here, when I throw the special 2, it's doing full damage, regardless of how many weaknesses I have on me. And that's just something to know about Claire, that the direct damage she does in her Hellfire mode, it is typed as energy damage. And I think that's actually boosted slightly against Mole Man. I think he has a slight vulnerability to energy. But it also only scales with her base attack. It does not improve if you're running the recoil tree masteries, it does not improve with boosts, and it also does not decrease with weaknesses. So that makes her very good for nodes like this, where other champions would potentially lose out on some damage. So I backed off there because I knew the armor was coming back. We just have to keep our eye on that timer. That is the thing that could actually get us hurt here, because if he went unstoppable in the middle of a combo and then blocked the next one, then not only would he be unstoppable, he would immediately go into frenzy, he would have guaranteed crits, and Claire doesn't have that much health. Like, if you're going to lose this fight, that's probably how. So back the heck off, and do what I'm doing here, and just bait heavies. Look for safe places to throw the special 2, and you will do plenty of damage. I really think Claire's damage in Hellfire is significantly underrated. Unless you're dealing with somebody with a lot of energy resistance, it's just a super reliable way to chunk through a lot of health and not worry about other kinds of mitigations. Unstoppable Armor doesn't change that, it just means you need to look for the safe windows. So then we head into Annihilus here, who was another one I really wanted to try, especially because this is Rich Get Richer. He's going to gain buffs, both from his native kit and from the Unstoppable Armor, which means he's going to gain power. If he starts just chaining special 3s into us, or, God forbid, goes red, this fight gets ugly. But he can't shrug the buff immunity, so we should be okay here. And even when he goes Nullify immune, that itself is not a problem, because that's just going to feed Claire power, right? So I could have tried to switch to Hellfire for damage there, but noticed that the timer was coming back for the armor, and if he had gone Unstoppable in the middle of that combo, things could have gotten out of hand. Combo's coming back here, we wait it out, and now I go for a step back in the corner, didn't quite get it, should have responded to that heavy. That's okay. Just wait it out, let Mystic Dispersion do its work, and then I dodge the next heavy, throw the special 2 into it as a way to punish it, and we are good to go. Gain a bunch of power back from all of the buffs he's immune to. And then we did manage to switch into Hellfire. So now we finally have the damage online. We step back into it, remove his rod, the 3 Furies, and prevent this next armor up. This fight is going extremely well. And there we get another one. Notice the burst of power as he is immune to buffs. That's very important. And now we just basically need to bait out this last special, make sure he doesn't get the armor, take advantage of Mystic Dispersion from nullifying all those Furies, and we are good to go. Not the fastest fight in the world, especially because we had to play around Unstoppable Armor to shorten our combos, which meant it took us a while to get into Hellfire, but a very, very good combo or counter. Still less than 2 minutes. So then we take on Super Skrull, who is probably the single largest beneficiary of this tactic. He's scary in places. He can gain an armor up just by you hitting him, just by you hitting into his block. He can go unstoppable off of all of them. He has the periodic armor coming around from the node. He has his falter. There's a lot going on here. We're going to do our best to keep track of all of it, but I will also say that this is a fight that I'm glad I got to practice, and you'll see what I mean. So right off the bat there, notice how when we didn't have buff immunity up, we parried him and then hit him once and backed off. That's because he can gain the armor ups whenever you hit him, but there is a small cooldown in between when he can gain buffs. And so if he gains a Fury because he hits your block, as when you parry him, then he cannot gain an armor up when you hit him. And so that's what keeps it safe, as long as you keep track of that cooldown. So I'm also trying to make sure I don't get backed up. That's why I'm coming in when he throws the special 1. Back off here, and I think this is where I make the first mistake. I knew that the armor was on cooldown, so I was good to go, but I did throw that into his falter, and I could have and should have gotten punished for that. Thankfully, buff immunity was up, because it doesn't need to land to apply. And so even if I had gotten hit, he wouldn't have gained a bunch of Furies, and we probably wouldn't have died. That's another thing that makes Claire good for this. But that is a mistake, and it's one that I need to watch for. This node has Aspect of Evolution, but that is not going to that's not going to give him extra resistance to Claire's Hellfire damage, so we don't need to worry about timing out. And we don't really need to worry about his power rate going up, because we're not going to push him to a special 2. The whole thing with buff immunity here is that he is never going to get to the 5 buffs that he would need to throw that. But there is where you see the next mistake I make, which is I think I was paying more attention to the falter that time and maybe didn't notice that buff immunity was gone. And that's why I hit into him in a way that could proc armor, got hit in the face, and I think it took me until about here to remember what the heck I was doing. So like I said, good practice on this one. There we repeat what we did at the opening. We parry one hit twice to proc the Fury, safely hit in, nullify it, gain power, but not trigger an armor up, and then you back off, wait for him to come in, and trigger a Fury again. I really think that that is the single most important piece of advice I have for fighting Super Skrull, is the parry one hit back off. That's how you avoid the armor ups. Do that until you can do something like get buff immunity up to control the others, or get slow up to control the unstoppable. That's how you beat him. So yeah, unstoppable armor is definitely going to have some challenges, but I think pretty much all of the problematic placements do have clear answers. Some of them definitely require more skill, but I think the fact that even though the unstoppable itself is passive, it comes with recurring active armor up buffs. That just gives Mystics as a whole a boost this season, and I think it gives them enough of a boost that between that and the other slow champions you have in other classes, like Silver Centurion, Shang-Chi, and She-Hulk, as well as others, that it's not going to be too big of an issue. It's weird because I like the design of it a lot better. It feels like a more interactive tactic than High Ground was, which was basically just a potion tax and never interesting. This feels a lot more interesting, but because I don't think they over-tuned it, again, that's a good thing, I do think it means that deaths will probably go down, which makes wars closer and more stressful. So war's in kind of a weird space right now. Like, we want them to make it harder, but we don't want them to make it more expensive. We don't want them to make it harder on officers or on players. I think there's some big picture changes that are probably in store to address that. For now, I do think this is probably a step in the right direction, and I'm cautiously looking forward to the upcoming season. I'm just aware that we may have some very close wars coming up. We'll see how those go. Anyway, good luck to everyone on your seasons. In addition to my upcoming war videos, I do have a couple series that I'm planning on starting, so keep an eye out for those. If you like the content I'm making, I just added the ability to become a member to my channel. There should be a join button next to the subscribe button, and if that's not showing up for you because you're on mobile or something, there's also a link in the description. That helps me just churn out more content, so that would be greatly appreciated. But either way, thank you so much to everyone for watching, and until next time, take care.